Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, so let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here. So we have been putting a spotlight on the economic meltdown that is happening globally. We've been talking about the plan behind the action, which we will talk about in this video slightly, and then we will talk about a few other things as well. But most of this is centered around CBDCs, and we're going to be discussing why, and we're going to be talking about how. First off, I want to share with you guys this video that James Melville shared over on Twitter. It's actually 4 separate videos in 4 separate areas around the world: France, Italy, Belgium, and also Germany. And there's of course many other countries in Europe that are also having the same exact issue, where there's massively heightened prices for food, energy, and a ton of other major things happening that are crippling these major economies over in Europe. Now, we've talked about this slightly a few times in the past. Again, the media will push other ideas on why we are seeing this economic meltdown. For the most part, it is induced by the United States. We've talked about this. We've addressed this. And by the way, for anybody that does think that these videos are weeks old, as we do see this tweet down here, here's a video from 1 day ago over in Italy with the same exact issues happening in all of these major areas around the world. I don't doubt that we will see a lot more of this starting to spiral out of control. Germany recently, this goes back a few months ago, back in the summertime, where Germany was, announcing that they will be restricting individuals' power usage for heat during the wintertime. Again, I do think that this energy crisis is going to grow, rapidly. Again, is there actually an energy crisis? We have no idea. Listen, I'm not going to talk on that. I'm not going to speculate too much on that. I know that a lot of people have their own ideas on that. I just don't care to talk too much about that. What I care to talk about is the plan behind the action. Like I said, recently we just seen the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, she said that it's certainly worth getting involved in developing a CBDC. And then she also announced that we do need cryptocurrency regulations. I do think that this is to power the new CBDC. We've talked about this slightly many times in the past. A lot of people question on if there's going to be any crypto tokens that are actually utilized in the facilitation of a CBDC system. In my opinion, I do think that they will play a crucial role. And we do see over here today, CBDCs were really kind of trending over on Twitter. A lot of people were talking about CBDCs in general and how they are, essentially bad, which I just made a video about it yesterday and my concerns about it. But there is a lot of things happening around CBDCs that I just don't think that a lot of people have a clear idea on. For an example, a known Bitcoin maxi in the community, that's what I'm going to call her, just because she has been, for the most part, centered around Bitcoin. She goes, people love to promote XRP as the bridge currency for CBDCs like it's a good thing. And we do see, well, it is a good thing, as it is promoting an open, decentralized, permissionless cryptocurrency for use as a bridge between CBDCs. Why is that bad? And a lot of people do think that it is bad because Twitter and media identity is built around misleading people into believing that CBDCs are Orwellian surveillance coins that will enslave humanity. It's not even that, though. Regardless of whether you believe that or not, the point is that XRP is not a CBDC. It is actually the antidote to any imaginary or real threat that may be posed by CBDCs. So essentially, he's saying, and this is Matt Hamilton, a known developer of course, Ripple, and he's basically saying that XRP itself would be the antidote to any of these major threats because it is, again, fully decentralized, and it would essentially be the bridge between all of this. But this all got sparked up by her talking about, all of these major central bank digital currencies and what is actually going to be happening around them, the control aspect behind them, and all that kind of stuff. Again, a lot of people were really kind of questioning this. And I mean, to me, again, when we really kind of look at CBDCs, I don't support them. I don't like the idea of them, but I don't think that our voice really matters. I think that if we are going to see a CBDC, we're going to see a CBDC, no matter what we say, what we do, whatever the case may be. But what I am focused on and what we know is in front of us is the fact that we are boiling up to see this major crash. If you guys didn't see it and if you guys missed it, so I actually have this over here. So let me get this. Let me pull this up 1 second. It's on another tab. 1 second. So if you guys missed this tweet from Gold Telegraph, basically this was the big announcement around the United States. The Treasury is exploring a debt buyback when the country is $31 trillion in debt, and the Federal Reserve posted its first operating loss in years. This is where we are now. The problem with this is that where's the money going to come from? What's going to happen with this? And what's going to be the after effects of this? Because ultimately, if they do this buyback of $31 trillion, this is going to cause a crash of a lifetime. I mean, like, this would be the worst time financially in the United States in the history of finance. And I do think that that's why this video was right on point. This is from a well-known financial individual named Gregory Mannarino. If you guys do want to go find him on YouTube, you guys are more than welcome to go and look him up. This is from Manifest963 over on Twitter, and it's talking about this crash. And listen closely to it. It's about a minute long. I want you guys to focus on what he is saying here.
Let's see what that does. Okay, look. Unless these institutions, these central banks, really want to melt down the financial system, like now, like this week, action needs to be taken. I've been telling you this for the longest time. If action is not taken, this is it. This is the moment where this whole thing is going to come down. And forget about a stock market crash, because that would be the result. And it would be the biggest crash of all time. What would really manifest itself from here is a global resource problem on an unprecedented scale, a lockup of the financial system in its entirety. Transactions would stop. No cash from the banks. ATMs don't work. Just done. Credit cards don't work. Debit, just done. Finished. Okay. That's where we're going anyway. But are we at that moment now? I guess we're going to find out. Let's see.
And again, we don't know when this is going to happen, but you could tell that we are headed in that direction. Everything that we have been watching for is headed towards this direction. Now, a lot of people question like, what is going on, because a lot of the ideas from the U.S. just does not make sense. Like this buyback around the debt just does not make sense when we are looking at the macroeconomic structure of the economy, and it's just like things look terrible. So why would we do this debt buyback of $31 trillion while the Federal Reserve is posting its first operating loss in years, and we know inflation is out of control? Like, what's going on? A lot of people are questioning the sanity of these people behind the scenes around the financial markets. Well, again, this is all one big plan. Remember back in August, I mentioned this tweet twice now on this channel because it's the perfect way to describe what is happening behind the scenes. And here's 6 steps. This is from Gold Telegraph talking about what's happening economically. Tell us inflation is transitory. Watch inflation rage. Tell us inflation was not transitory. Tell us we will have a soft landing. Watch the everything bubble burst, and introduce a central bank digital currency. Now, the everything bubble is induced by the central banks and by these elitists that are behind the financial system, and they want to introduce the CBDC system because they have more control. They have, power over the people financially, and a lot more power than the fiat system. And yes, I understand that when we look at CBDCs, yeah, sure, are they good for some of these tokens like XRP? If XRP is the facilitation bridge between all of them, yeah, it's great for XRP's value. But the question is, okay, well, what value will it actually have? How will you be able to sell? Because again, a lot of people have question on if you will ever even be able to sell your XRP if that is the case. Again, we have no idea what could come from CBDCs. And I'm not sitting here to, fearmonger around this. We've talked about CBDCs on multiple occasions. We talked about the good, the bad, the ugly. And I do think that CBDCs could ultimately, harm us in greater ways than we ever imagined. But if they do, have I say this very lightly because, again, we just don't know what could come of this. I do think that central bank digital currencies definitely have a lot of pros, but they also do have a lot of cons too that we don't know if they will be there. We can only speculate so much behind them. If they're facilitated in a good way, then yeah, it could be great for the economy. And if we do keep fiat on the sidelines, and if we do keep crypto as well, then it's great. Again, we actually do see this from Library themselves, actually. Library mentioned this multiple times on Twitter as well. They said you don't have to be scared of CBDCs as long as a free market exists for cryptocurrency. However, you do need to be scared if of there not being a free market for cryptocurrency, because CBDCs are very scary. And I do agree. I think that we need to have all of these other areas of focus around, currencies in terms of cryptocurrencies and even fiat. Again, I would love to have both of these areas focused on and kept in place. But again, in terms of what's happening around the US dollar, in terms of what's happening around the Federal Reserve, a lot of people question on, okay, well, what is the Fed going to do next? Are they going to pivot? What if they do pivot? We actually do see over here from Wall Street Silver, from the moment the Fed pivots, stock continues crashing down for another 14 months on average. And here you guys have, when Fed pivots, stocks crash by more. And here you guys have the great financial crisis, 50.1% stock crash, dot-com bubble, 38.3%. Again, this was the Gulf War. This was only about 4.4%. Double dip recession, 16.5. 73 recession, 41.3. 69 recession, 18.9. And on average, it's about 28.3%. And on average, in terms of the bottom from the pivot, is about 14 months. Now, this is very interesting. We just don't know what's going to happen next around this. Again, the current macroeconomic structure is still pretty rough, but I have been parking a lot of my fiat, a lot of my money into assets I do think are extremely undervalued. I've been making a ton of money during the bear market in assets like QNT and Casper, and I do believe that XRP will be very lucrative as well going forward, but I do think that there will be a crash. I think that holding, stable coins, maybe even just staying in fiat. A lot of people think that, getting out of fiat would be the best option. Got to remember that most of the time, during times like this, fiat, aka the dollar, is king. Cash is king during times like this. I shared with you guys this as well. Talking about 2008, in terms of trying to buy a house after the market crash, in terms of real estate, you could buy houses very cheap, but the problem is that banks don't want to lend. Very similar to what this video is saying, like banks do not want to give out cash. ATMs will be frozen. You won't be able to get money out of the ATMs. Banks do not want to lend during times like this. So, trying to even buy housing or real estate, I should say, for cheap, you would have to have cash in hand. Cash is always king during times of, the worst crashes. So again, it's all up to how you want to base yourself, but I have also been doing, I've been buying a ton of gold as well. I do think that gold will play a big role in terms of what is happening around CBDCs. We've talked about, gold-backed CBDCs basically being facilitated through DLTs. We don't know if that's going to be the case. Again, we can only speculate so much, but all we know is that things are boiling up, things are heating up, and it looks like the US does not want to, They just want to keep accelerating the fire that has already started to burn rapidly around the monetary system. And again, you will see a lot of things on the media that is, playing into what is causing the economic meltdown. At the end of the day, what really caused the economic meltdown is the over hyperinflated US dollar. They are continuously printing it, or I shouldn't say now they are, but they were during 2020 all the way to like 2022, the beginning of this year. I haven't looked at it too much lately in terms of the chart. I think that they actually even froze the chart. I know that they froze it during like February of 2021, but it was like over like 80% of the US dollars in circulation were printed in the last 2 years. It's absolutely insanity. So we could definitely see what ignited this massive global economic meltdown, and it looks like there's no signs of this stopping. And we don't know if it's going to lead to a 2008 crisis. A lot of people have questioned on if that will be the case, but things are definitely looking interesting, and I do take these warnings, like a lot of these warnings from these financial giants that have been, right on the ball in the past. They have been historically proven right many times. I do take their, words very strong, but I also take it with, a grain of salt, because you never know what's going to happen. Again, like a lot of this is just predictions. You don't know what could happen next. You got to position yourself 50-50. That way you're prepared either way. Me personally, the way that I'm preparing is that I am investing into physical, gold. I'm also investing into crypto. I'm holding a very large percentage on stables as well as fiat. I'm prepared either way for what's going to happen next. But I want you guys to all understand what's happening right now globally, and you could definitely see their plan. Really kind of, I would say that this is morphing into reality faster than anyone could really expect. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.